Good morning, my name is Bachofner. Today I'm going to be presenting my learning on English 10 and world history. First, I'm going to be presenting for English 10. So what we have to do was we have to do a character analysis on one of the characters from the book Fahrenheit 451. I chose Guy Montag, and my thesis statement is, in the book Fahrenheit 451, Guy Montag transforms from a man with passion for his job as a firefighter and his culture to an open-minded man that doubts his life, job, and society. My first excerpt to present this thesis is, the important thing for you to remember, Montag, is we're the happiness boys, you and I and the others. We stand against a small tide of those who want to make everyone unhappy with conflicting theory and thought. We have our fingers in the dike, hold steady, don't let the torrent of melancholy and drear philosophy drown our world. So pretty much what Captain Beatty is saying is that their job is to burn books, and when they burn books, they take away any unnecessary thoughts that other people had to shroud the people's mind to have different opinions, and if people just get mad at each other for having different opinions, and that doesn't make people happy. And saying that they're the happiness boys means that when they burn their books, that means everyone only has one opinion and everyone stays happy that way. My second excerpt is when Faber tells Montag, he would be Montag plus Faber, fire plus water, and then one day after everything has mixed and simmered and worked away in silence, it would be neither fire nor water but wine. This is when they first bring religion into the book, and they talk about religion a lot in the book, saying that, and they give pretty much an idea that Faber is like the good side, and Captain Beatty is more of like a bad side, and Captain Beatty is like temptation, like tempting him to, take the easy way out, burn all these books, and everyone be happy, but they won't have a free mind. And Faber is saying, everyone has to have a free mind. Even though some people get mad at each other, it's just a better way to live, having a free mind. And what the book is saying is, once you have the perfect mix of people having a free mind and people having one or two opinions to choose from, that's when people will be the most happy, not when they have a bunch of different opinions and everyone's all over the place. My third excerpt is, the sun burnt every day, it burnt time, time was busy burning the years and people anyway, without any help from him. So if he burned things, the firemen and the sun burnt time, that meant everything burned. What it's saying is that it took time for people to build houses, or it took time for people to write these books. It might have taken years to build these books and houses, and if you use a flamethrower and burn the house or books, it literally takes seconds, minutes to burn what these people took years to make. Even though the sun already burns time away, they're just burning time faster, making time go by faster. That was the end of my English presentation. Now I'm going to start my world history. For the world history, I chose the honors option, which is to rank all the 4 units that we did together. And my thesis for this is John Locke's efforts to show people that they do have self-worth, and that the government can't control them, caused the French and American Revolution, and ultimately Locke's wise words and actions led to the imperialization of Africa and China. What this thesis is saying is that things that happened far back in time cause things that happen in present day. Like anything that you've ever done, thought of, or any action that you've ever done has brought you to the moment that you are at right now. First, when we talk about enlightenment and democratic ideas, Jean Locke and Jacques Rousseau told people that they have self-worth, and that if they have something wrong with the government, they should tell them, and the government shouldn't restrict them with their social contracts and telling them that people do have God-given rights. And what Voltaire and Caesar Beccaria did is Voltaire pretty much told them that they do have freedom of speech and they can talk about whatever they want and the government can't censor anything from them. And Voltaire also said that it doesn't matter how strongly he disagrees with the person, as long as they're using their freedom of speech, he'll die for that they can have freedom of speech. And Caesar Beccaria believed in the separation of power, so the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch. Now we're going on to the revolutions, and so I'm going to be talking about the French Revolution. And the French Revolution was when the French people, they were not happy at all with King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. And pretty much at the very beginning, they were pretty happy with King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette because they formed pretty much like a kind of treaty with Austria when King Louis married the daughter of the Queen of Austria. So they had pretty much a treaty with them, and they were pretty happy at the beginning because they had a new start. But soon after, they started to realize that Marie Antoinette was a very greedy person. She loved gambling. She just loved using money all the time. And King Louis XVI was very young, and he was only 20 years old. He didn't really like politics. He wasn't really interested in that, and because of that, he made very rash decisions and took a lot of time to think of something. The 5 main points that sum up the French Revolution are the Estates General, the National Assembly, the Tennis Court Oath, and the fall of the Bastille. And what the Estates General was is all the representatives of the first, second, and third estate came together to talk about taxes and how they need to start taxing. And they wanted to tax the second estate because they said, hey, only the third estate's paying, why don't you guys pay also? And since there was only 3 people, and in the first and second estate they both didn't want to have any money, and the third estate only had 1 vote, they each had 1 vote, they easily outvoted the third estate. And this got the third estate mad, so they started the National Assembly. And what it was, the group of representatives from the third estate to just talk to the first and second estate. One day after their meeting, they went home. They came back just to have another meeting, and they were locked out of their meeting hall. So they broke into an indoor tennis court, and they all swore an oath saying, "We're not going to leave this tennis court until King Louis XVI makes a new constitution." They finally left because King Louis XVI said he would make a new constitution, but he never did, and which got the third estate really mad. So they started rioting, and they ended up going to the Bastille, which was a prison for weapons, gunpowder, and they ended up taking the Bastille down brick by brick. Later, after that, there was a great fear, and pretty much the third estate started imprisoning all the first and second estate, and pretty much anyone who didn't agree with the third estate taking over the French government, and they just pretty much killed everyone who didn't agree with them. And after that, Napoleon, he rose to power because it was a weak country, and he started preaching all these things that they wanted in the first place. But in the end, he became a tyrant because he just wanted to build a giant empire and go to war, and he just wasted a bunch of money, which brought them back to the first place with the economic crisis. After the revolution started, the Industrial Revolution started because people realized that they can be free-thinking people, and they can bring their ideas to the table and create inventions. And pretty much what that did is created inventions, so it would make it easier to make different products. And what this made was it made a bunch of different jobs come together in the big cities, and everyone that wanted to move to the big cities so they can get these jobs. And this caused urbanization, which was pretty much just a bunch of people coming in one area, and they all cramped together, and it started the spread of disease, and a bunch of people died because they had a bunch of diseases. But after a while, they started running out of resources, and then they needed to expand to go in different places. So that's when imperialism started. And pretty much what imperialism was the Europeans, they wanted to come to places like Africa and China and India, which have a lot of resources that they can just take because they're so much more, they have a lot better technology than the Africa, China, and India, so they can just pretty much take over. And at first, the Europeans took over Africa to get their resources, gold, diamonds, a bunch of other rock minerals. What they did was they ended up having a conference in Berlin saying, hey, we can't just all fight over this land, let's have like a conversation about once you get to a land, you have to show you can take care of the land, and if you do, it's your land. But what they did, they never told the people, the leaders of Africa about it, and they just pretty much invaded Africa and stole all their land resources, and they started imperializing them and taking away their culture. That ends my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Can you go back to your first slide for me?
The thesis or
Caesar Beccaria, what was his idea?
to divide the government into 3 different branches. Or was he was the death penalty, wasn't he?
Okay. Do you remember the guy who had the idea of separation of powers?
It was Montesquieu. Do you have any questions, Ms. Bachofner?
No.
Okay.
Geography.
So the grammetry or the DBQ first? I'll do the DBQ first. So pretty much what I annotated was we could not leave them, and we would be in the USA, and could not leave them. Apparently it was their duty, like they felt like they had to stay with the Philippines and govern them and show them the way. It also says they had nothing left to do but to take them over. So it was pretty much saying, like, we're helping you, so we have to take you over. And what I wrote up here is they said they were unfit for self-government, and I said, how do you know that? Like, how do you know that a country can't govern themselves even though just because they don't have the same technology as you do? I also underlined educate, uplift, civilize, and Christianize, which is all things that was about white man's burden. They thought that people that weren't like them were pretty much savages, and they needed to cleanse them and show them their ways. I also underlined because it was an interview with the Christian Advocate, which is another thing about white man's burden. It was mainly the Christians who wanted to cleanse them and teach them Christianity, so that's why I underlined them. And my thesis statement is President McKinley justifies the U.S. taking over the Philippines by saying they had to, and it was the right thing to do.
They have to do what?
They had to take over and imperialize the Philippines.
On your thesis statement, do you think that is vague or specific?
It's pretty vague. Like, I could have said that instead of they had to, like, instead of saying they had to, like, I could have said it was their duty, or it was like their job to.
And what else did your annotations tell you? What are the things you underlined?
I underlined things about white man's burden.
Okay, so it was their duty to.
Oh, I wrote that down here.
Okay, we're still working on.
Oh, okay. So, like, it was their duty to educate, uplift, civilize, and Christianize.
Okay. All right, better. Okay, got it.
So my evidence was his interview with the Christian Advocate in 1903, and McKinley states that they were unfit. They were unfit for self-government, and there was nothing left for them to do but to take them over. So what this is.
And his interview, who was his? Who was that?
McKinley's.
Okay, so we're gonna make that a little bit more specific. And
So I could say in McKinley's interview with the Christian Advocate in 1903, he states.
okay, so look at your evidence. So we have they were unfit for self-government. There was nothing left for us to do but to take them over. Does that support your revised thesis?
A little bit, saying that they pretty much, they're savages, so they don't know how to take care of themselves, so like animals. So they need to Christianize them, uplift them, educate them, and then they can self-govern themselves.
Okay, take me through your analysis.
It says it seems like it was their duty or burden to govern these people and uplift, civilize, and Christianize them. President McKinley saved the Philippines, but it was just the right thing to do.
Okay, if I say it seems like it's raining outside, does that make it sound like I'm sharing myself?
No.
No. Okay. So what should we do?
It was their duty. Just take seems out.
Who's there?
The U.S.
Okay, so
It was the U.S.'s duty.
not even U.S.'s, we're getting real specific.
It was McKinley's duty.
No. Remember, I don't want you abbreviating. U.S.
USA. Wait, what? United States. There.
Alright, so it was the United States' duty. Keep going.
It was the United States' duty or burden to govern these people. And uplift
These people.
to.
Wow.
It was the United States' duty to govern the Philippines.
Okay. And, okay, I see what you're saying further. So we're not even going to bring in new evidence in your analysis, because that means you're going to have to analyze that all over again. Okay?
Yeah.
So, this last little part, President McKinley saved?
Yeah.
Why do you have that in quotations?
Because they pretty much just stated that they were unfit for government before they even tried to govern themselves.
I think what did you talk to Art about in your annotations as well? Where do you say self-government?
How do you know that they can't govern themselves?
I think that would have been a lot stronger for you to analyze that idea of that country feeling like they're more empowered simply because they're white, they're Christian, etc. Okay?
Yeah.
Just work on being more specific. Okay?
Okay.
Alright, thank you, Lucas.
Alright. A back collision was seen. I said in class. Is and are was were being and always.
A verb.
A verb. What you talking about? What are you talking about?
What on was?
Yeah.
Oh, I crossed out because I was thinking like was like in the past, so it's like saying like a time.
You overthink.
So
What was seen?
the collision.
What's what? What responds to what part of speech? What or who?
An adjective.
What? What was seen? What thing did you put? For collision.
What was a verb?
So what's the thing that was seen? Okay, there you go. So, what type of collision was it?
A bad one.
The bad one. And what did you do with adjective? You crossed it out.
Cross it out.
That's all the things you do. So, let's fix the phrase. It's not a verb phrase anymore. Good. Keep going. What's that second part? And I realized that my uncle was in it. Does anything is false?
Oh, no, because there's an and.
There's an and, so what should we do? Why put commas there?
Because I put the comma here because it says while driving a highway was a bad collision was seen, and that's an independent clause in itself. But the first, I put this comma, second comma here because it's like a kind of an interjection.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if you would have taken that out, it still would have been okay.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at that first part. While driving down the highway, what did you say while was?
While?
Yeah.
An adverb.
So it was an adverb. Remember what I said? If a phrase leads with the adverb, then what kind of phrase is it?
An noun phrase.
No. If the adverb leads the phrase,
An adverb
it's
phrase.
an adverb phrase.
So it was
That whole thing becomes an adverb phrase.
this whole thing?
That whole thing.
This one or that?
That whole thing. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that whole thing.
So
Yep, that becomes an adverb phrase and that's a dependent clause. Why do I say that whole thing is an adverb phrase? What can you do with an adverb that you can't do with anything else?
is it you can like move it wherever you want?
Where? Just anywhere?
Oh, you can move the adverb phrase, like the whole phrase wherever you want in the sentence.
As long as what? So can I say a bad while driving down the highway collision with me?
As long as it leads.
As long as it's what?
As long as what's what the sentence or the.
Yeah, as long as the sentence does what? Can I say a bad while driving down the highway collision with him?
No,
Why?
it doesn't make sense.
As
long as
as
the sentence makes sense.
Thank you. If you could stop.